You're tuned into RX Radio. Movement prescribed. Brought to you by Prescript.com. A personalized approach to keeping you healthy and making your best even better. Your hosts, Dr. Jordan Shallow and Dr. Jordan Ginta.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of RX Radio. Just a huge shout out to everyone that's signed up for the PSL 1 course upcoming. So those of you who didn't hear on last week's episode, the Prescript Level 1 online 16-week certification course is now up for sale. We're going to be looking to start class here in a few weeks. So those of you who are interested, go to www.pre-script.com/courses and check it out. If you have any questions, just fire us a note on Instagram or send us an email at info@prescript.com. For those of you who have been asking, it's now ready to go. So we're looking at a mid-April start. Really looking forward to that. Now, this episode is with myself, Jordan Ginta, and Killian Hamilton. Now, just the interesting part about recording these and then releasing them later is to be able to see the stark shift in social perception of something, and kind of like it's been a bit of a learning curve for me as I have to record these intros a little bit more current. So we talk about the coronavirus a little bit. We talk about the conspiracy theories. Obviously, since this was recorded back in early March, the severity around the coronavirus has drastically increased, as I've been in 3 countries since we've recorded this and sort of get to see the firsthand effect of what this virus is doing. So we don't want to be kind of looked at as taking this lightly. At the time, it was really kind of, we weren't really sure what to make of it. So any poking fun at the virus was done at a time where we really didn't know what we were dealing with. And as someone who's been through airports and is currently recording this in self-isolation, government sanctioned in Australia, like it's kind of a something that's evolved quite rapidly. But really interesting episode. Like always, great having Killian on. His perspective is something that it's a compliment, but it's also a contrast to kind of the way me and Ginta think. So 3 guys who look really like probably too similar. Like we all could be estranged brothers. Like there's the same mailman somewhere in Windsor and PA that's going. Anyways, but always a good perspective to have on the show. We'll go a little bit off topic when we bring it back into sort of like fitness industry inventions and kind of have a bit of a laugh. But Killian might be, spoiler alert, you might see Killian in a few of the online lectures. Wealth of knowledge, and definitely someone that we look at as sort of a thought leader when it comes to training and skill acquisition. A lot of you guys really enjoyed his last episode, and we'll definitely be seeing more of him both on the podcast and within Prescript ranks when it comes to teaching. So again, if you guys are interested in the level 1 course, I know some of you, probably most of you, have a bit more free time on your hands as a consequence of this. And rather than just fucking posting up, you doing tricep extensions using the couch or scaring the shit out of your pets by curling them all day, I definitely want to sort of spearhead an initiative and people within the certification who start to put out more thought-provoking, I hate to use the content word, but just something that's going to add value. And I think that's something that we try and do. You leave the home workout stuff to the people who that's kind of like the edge of their skill set, but we're really attracting just a higher level of thinker when it comes to coaches that we want to work with, that we want to work with us and to represent kind of what we're all about. So if you guys want to kind of join the ranks, see what we're doing in the level 1 course. So I understand it's a bit of a commitment, 16 weeks, but we weren't out. Look, there's a market for mediocrity already, and it's a saturated one. So we wanted to kind of swing for the fence when we developed this curriculum. So it's a little bit more advanced. And it's compared to some, it's a lot bit more advanced than what's out there. And by design, we rather not simplify these things that are complicated and have more of that subtle nuance, sort of the art of training get lost in that translation or oversimplification. So, but that being said, we have some great coaches that help sort of teach this content in a way that makes it digestible, and not only digestible, like what we're after is like meta impact. Like we want people that, sort of learn to the level that we teach to be able to have, an impact on people that they work with, whether it's clinicians working with patients or coaches or working with athletes or trainers working with clients. Like that's kind of what we're after. So if you guys are interested in that, head over to pre-script.com/courses and sign up today. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Bit of a laugh, always great having, like I said, Killian on, and great to be able to sit down in a room with Junta. So I'm going to avoid any further ramblings. Hope you guys enjoy the show. We'll see you hopefully in class very soon.
There's a lot of concern. I'm concerned on whose feet are going to touch my feet.
Man,
first.
could you imagine? Oh, shit. Someone messaged me that there's a feet rating website.
Wow.
Yeah, and some of our friends are on it. Like, not like on it as active contributors, but are on it as in like, hey,
their picture got posted up there
of their feet. And there's a rating system. This isn't video podcast. It's just weird.
It's weird how much I liked it. Yeah. I didn't dislike it.
He didn't pull away.
Yeah.
Right. This is not the Will Smith 90-10 thing. Junta was hitting that 50-50.
My yearbook quote, never back down, never pull out.
Is that what you put in there?
Yeah.
That's like ride together, die together. Bad boys for life.
Yeah. How many children do you have?
I got a lot of cards on Father's Day. No return address.
Shoot your shot 2020.
Yeah, shoot your shot 2020.
But yeah, there's a lot to be concerned with, man. Like coronavirus still going strong.
I literally just had a half-hour conversation with my father of how he wants me to go to the grocery store and buy all the canned goods because of the coronavirus.
Okay, you should see the Junta compound that his dad built. There's no more concerned individual about the apocalypse, clearly by like just the architecture of this house. This thing actually has a silo that goes like 40 feet into the ground. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty much a sniper tower that he lives in.
It's like, that house from, what was the Bond movie we were talking about the other day? Skyfall. You know that house that's like in the middle of the clearing? That's Junta's dad's house.
Yeah.
And he's Daniel Craig. Like that has a tunnel to a church nearby in case like he gets raided or people like get past the lines. But what was he saying? Because this interests me because I have my own Alex Jones-esque theory about it and I love it. It has to be real.
Are you saying that coronavirus is a conspiracy?
1,000%, man, and a good one at that. But the most obvious conspiracy theory. Because I could pick up on it. What's your dad saying? Is he saying obviously the opposite?
Yeah, dude. He's like genuinely concerned about it. He has like 80 pounds of chicken in his freezer.
Which is different than the usual 60 pounds he usually has.
An entire deer that he has killed and butchered himself.
Which was happening regardless of the coronavirus or not.
That's true.
Do they have, not to be blunt, how old was your dad when he saw his first Asian person in real life?
In real life?
Yeah.
Let's see. He was born in Wilkes-Barre. He went to school in Philadelphia.
Okay,
so probably like college age.
Yeah, that's weird though. Like Jimmy Wang was from Taiwan, and he was my friend when I was 6 years old. My dad will go on record and say, "Look, I grew up in Newfoundland. I didn't see a black dude until I was 23." I was like, "That's really strange." Well, shout out Windsor, shout out Brampton. Yeah, 100%.
It's very light in Windsor.
No, it's quite multicultural actually. There a lot of Eastern Europeans, former Yugoslavians, Albanians, Serbs, a lot of Macedonians.
Yeah, because when we were in Toronto, it was like everyone, dude.
Oh,
it was very diverse. Yeah,
it's a party, and it
Shout
gets
out
like,
Carabana.
Dude, I talked about that the other day. Where were we? We were in Calgary teaching that course. So Carabana is like, it's like a festival for the islands, like the Caribbean islands. And yeah, it gets real, man. It gets real quick. Get a bunch of Trinis and Guyanese people together, look the fuck out. Yeah, it's wild. But no, so your dad's obviously concerned.
Dude, he's prepping hard for this.
I'm picturing like, was it John Goodman in that one movie?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
The
about?
Cloverfield one?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
dude,
what
literally.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And like he's going through telling me all the food and all the stuff he has like prepared just in case. And he's like, "Oh yeah, and I have 5,000 9mm rounds."
5,000.
just in case the coronavirus is the beginning of some zombie apocalypse.
Like, what the fuck does that even, like, if someone comes up your driveway, you're just going to shoot them?
Just in case it mutates and everyone starts eating human flesh. Like, I haven't seen that in the news yet. But no, look, the way I look at it, because like I was in like the thick of it while it was starting up. Because like I remember I was supposed to fly to Hong Kong early January. And it was like, hey, be careful. There's like pneumonia. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not like 65 or 6 months old. I should be fine because those are the people who die of pneumonia. Like I have an immune system. I've picked my nose and eaten it a few times in my life. So I should be good. And then it goes all of a sudden the day before it goes from pneumonia to SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, which is that thing that took out like TO and back in the early 2000s. But hey, we got a Rolling Stone concert out of it, which is
true.
pretty dope.
The subway was less busy.
Yeah, so it's like less traffic, and maybe they'll bring Guns N' Roses like together on a farewell tour. And I was like, whatever, pneumonia will be fine. And then like halfway through my trip to Hong Kong, it's like, no, it's actually this thing called the coronavirus. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm here now. Like, I'm not going to put on like the painter's mask or whatever the fuck. And then I went to Singapore, and then a week later I came back to Australia. If I'd have switched my trip around and gone Hong Kong first, or Hong Kong second, Singapore first, I would have got off the plane in Sydney, and they would have taken me into involuntary quarantine for 2 weeks.
Fuck.
Wow.
But look, okay, so I mean, I don't stay too much into politics anymore, but like months ago they were talking about like trade embargo to China, right? You follow the news? Anyone follow the news? Right, fitness podcast, right? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna Alex Jones this. Trade embargo to China. Trump can't figure it out. They're having like meetings, and it's like the stock market is very much in flux based off of like the trade talks with China. And then all of a sudden, like, I picture like Donald Trump in Florida at the golf course, sitting there with his hands through his stringy hair on a golden toilet, like what the fuck are we gonna do about this thing? Beer in hand, I got it, the coronavirus, and then like, but nothing in and out of China, right? No trade. It's essentially like, it's like what did Kennedy do? Around the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, same thing.
Same idea. It's like he didn't call it like an embargo because that's too like harsh. So they just like he basically. Then again, the obvious conspiracy theory and what the fuck do we know? But like to me, it's all too neat, and just the name of it too. It's like if Donald Trump were to invent a name of a virus, it would be named after a Mexican beer, no less. No, it's just too good. And I was like,
God, dude.
is anyone worried about like, oh, you worried about the coronavirus? I'm like, no, not at all. Like I'm purposely going through airports and sneezing on people just to get ahead of them in line. Like it's so silly. Who knows? I'm going to die of the coronavirus tomorrow. But yeah, that was my little thing. I think it's the silliest thing in the world when people get so like, what are even the numbers now? Like you have a better chance of winning the Powerball than coming down with this thing.
Yeah, always. Like that's with anything though, right? Like people, whatever is most topical, people are most afraid of. But it's like, man, if you sat there and ran the numbers on everything that kills you, you'd never leave your house. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Or you wouldn't leave in a car or without
Yeah, right.
5,000
9
9mm rounds.
Seriously.
Right? Dad just rolls up to the grocery store. Now, is it open carry?
Concealed.
Concealed carry.
That's even
Doesn't give
all
a
right. Well,
stranger
no.
to
All right.
me.
So here's
Doesn't give a fuck.
we're obviously from Canada and you're from PA. Now, like, because in living in the States, I've switched my focus. Like, I used to like the idea of open carry because I grew up next to Michigan, so I can like, all right, that guy. When shit pops off, he's either the guy I need to watch or the guy I need to go hide behind. But then living in California, California has conceal and carry as well.
I think so. I think they're just a lot more strict with who's able to do so.
Right. But it's like in living in California, I've been on both sides of it. We're like, hey, this guy definitely has a gun. Like this 5'4" guy who's nose to nose to me in my parking garage. Like I swing at him once, he shoots me twice in the chest, one in the head. He gets away with it because I'm twice his size. It's like, oh, self-defense, right? But it's like I've softened more to the conceal and carry side because it's like I know that 90% of the people I'm around all the time just have one strapped to their ankle.
I don't know, man. Like I'm not being Canadian, like I'm not anti-gun, like I have nothing wrong with it. Like I don't see the point in restricting something completely. But I also don't know all the ins and outs, like how strict it is. Conceal and carry, like that just seems overwhelmingly weird to me. Like I get being allowed to carry a gun. I get to openly carry a gun. But why do you need to hide the fact you're carrying a gun?
So you can be the hero. So you can be that old
but like,
guy
I
in the
just don't
church.
get it. Like, cool, man. Like, rock a gun on the hip. But
Yeah.
like, I don't think you need it strapped to your ankle under your sweatpants.
I'd cheddar bob it. Just right up the front waist.
Yeah.
There goes the dick.
But yeah, that's the part that I'm so confused about. It's like, what's the intent behind not showing people that you have a gun?
to wait for someone else to pull theirs so then you can shoot them. The element of surprise, bro.
And exactly like Jordan said, like if you're just walking around with a gun, people are gonna look at you different, whether you know sort or not.
Yeah.
But like,
That's like that could be, in a situation that could elevate it.
I understand. I
Yeah,
get
see,
that.
and I've been like, there's a bar called Club 20 in downtown Windsor. One of my buddies used to work there, and he texted me after, like, hey, gunfight at Club 20 tonight. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I'm thinking pistols at dawn, like, shootout over the bar, like Jim Carrey in The Mask style when they, like, did that casino at the end. But the thing is, when both guys pulled their guns, it was like, it was assured destruction, mutually assured destruction. That was like Cold War shit. Both of them realized, like, look, if one shot goes off and you miss, then I got the upper hand and you're dead.
Yeah.
So they just pistol whipped each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like those dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I would rather the Cold War peace and everyone just carry.
That's
To a
what I
certain-
mean.
to a
And
certain
everyone
degree.
knows who has a gun.
Right.
Rather than do with it strapped to his ankle. Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I love, and I've learned to love it since I left the States, but I love the good guy with the gun story. Like that old dude in that church who was like a Rangemaster. Some guy went and like,
Yeah.
you hear
and
about
he
that?
popped that dude off.
Yeah, like, what was his goal? Like to shoot up the church or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he shot like one or two people in this.
Yeah,
dude
and then he
just,
got
like,
one
took him
right
out.
in the head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, by the Rangemaster, like six.
The guy's super gangster.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like that sets gun prohibition laws back 30 years. Every one of those cases, it's going to take 4 Columbines to counteract that white picket fence, all American, like sniper from across. I just picture him like ducking across like the Virgin Mary and just like that's going to be. It's a regression because look, I don't know how many people were killed in that church. I just know that there was an old dude who was a Rangemaster who put buried, like that's a problem in the way the way it's reported on.
I feel like I don't completely agree with it, but like when people are like, like I don't understand the restriction of guns because it's like the good people who go through the process of acquiring legally a gun and putting it on their waist. Rarely is that guy outside the Rangemaster, like using it outside of self-defense. It's like, dude, I'm in Toronto. Like, people are shot literally every single day in Toronto. We don't have handguns in Canada. So, like...
So they're getting that
They're
shit
getting those guns.
around the law.
Yeah, and they're lighting people up. So it's like, I don't get why it's such a big deal here. But I'm not close to the nucleus of the problem. So, like, I see the problem as, dude, handguns are illegal. People still light people up every day in Toronto. They're completely banned in the UK to the point where police officers have like electric fly swatter strapped to the waist.
Oh my god!
Like, so
cattle
what
prod.
happened in the UK is they banned guns, and then stabbings went up. So it doesn't eliminate the intent, right? The intent is always there. So like you can do whatever you want with guns. Like you could restrict it here to having knives. You could restrict it to having electric fly swatters. People would walk around with just welts all over them too. You know what I mean? Like,
Fucking car batteries, just
Oh
like
my
yeah.
God.
psst.
Yeah, I mean they're there. They've been made.
Yeah.
Guns are gonna continue to be
Yeah.
made, and there's ways around it.
and I
like-
don't think it's about the guns, and it's not to get super deep, but I think there's like greater social constructs that are instituting like the use of guns in violent crimes or the committing of violent crimes.
Yeah, it's more so the underlying thought process.
Yeah, man. Like 1,000 years ago, people chopped people's heads off. They didn't have guns. They still killed more
Yeah.
people than we kill today.
Genghis
Like,
Khan
what
was
the hell?
fucking people up. Everyone's just
Yeah.
gonna turn into Rambo, just bow and arrow
Yeah.
style. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, in living in the States and then not living in the States in a very like stark period of time, like pretty much overnight, I went from living here to not, like, and just being able to see the forest for the trees and within the forest, like it's not like everyone's like, oh, just do the Australia thing. It's like, yeah, in a country of what, like that had 17 million people, and like half of the continent, if not more, is uninhabitable and uninhabited. Yeah, it's easy to go through and do a buyback program, and it's like a constitution wasn't built on that. It's like, dude, we were driving in a lorry, driving through like Ohio, we saw like Confederate flags. Good fucking luck.
Yeah,
It's like those guys are not going quietly. Like you are not getting those people's guns back.
You know what people do? Because they're like making all these regulations about AR-15s and all this stuff. Is they'll manufacture. There's companies that manufacture like an incomplete, what's called like the lower of an AR, the part that makes it a gun, the chamber, like the combustion changer, and it's incomplete because all you have to do is drill a couple holes in it, and then buy all the parts to put in it.
So here you have a Kinder Surprise AR-15 cartridge.
Exactly. So you just buy this piece of metal, seemingly, as it's legally regarded, and then you drill 2 holes in it, buy a bunch of parts, and you have an AR that no one knows you have.
Yeah, to a lesser extent, I have a buddy who makes knives. He's a machinist, and he makes like a balisong, which is like that knife from the Philippines that you can like whip around like a butterfly knife.
Yeah.
And they're illegal because they have no lock on them. Just like a switchblade is illegal.
Yeah.
So he just ships it in 3 boxes to you.
Yeah.
He ships you 2 handles.
pieces,
He ships you a
right?
blade, and he ships you a spring. And you just get it with the instructions, and you just put it together. Same thing with the switchblade. The switchblade, they sell you they send you the handle, the spring, and the knife.
It's like the anarchist cookbook.
Yeah, so this stuff isn't going to go away
No.
just because you put laws in place. This stuff, the plans are out there. The people with the intent to get a gun are going to get a gun.
Dude, someone invented the flashlight. We can figure out how to fucking buy a switchblade on the internet.
Hold on, wasn't that someone Aubrey Marcus's dad?
Yeah,
Is that story true?
I think so.
Damn, that proves a lot about their training philosophy. Because when I watch On It Train, people at On It Train in Austin, like, this is someone just fucking their own hand. This is literally the equivalent of someone fucking their own hand. Like, this is the dumb, like, see the new water bag thing they came up with?
I don't even know.
It's like one of those, what are they, like, Bulgarian bags or whatever they are? Those, like, things that you, like,
Oh,
they're
it's like a big water bottle with handles,
but the original one was just solid weight. It was just like a very...
like a battering ram.
Yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
looked like a battering ram that you're swinging around your head. And then they're like, oh, we know how to be like look, Nikola Tesla was an inventor. Your dad fucked his own hand, and you're doing the same thing in the fitness industry. Like, I know, we'll add water. It's like, really, with the amount of peyote you fucker smoke, we could get more creative than putting water in something that already exists. It's like, oh man, I can't stand this idea. Oh, the inventor of, it's like, yeah, like Homer J. Simpson was the inventor of the 6-legged chair. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to think of like my favorite fitness inventions.
Fitness inventions.
We
How
can
about
s-
shake weight?
I was just gonna say, like,
yeah,
you
it's
could probably
the
skip that
fleshlight
one.
of the fitness.
It
world.
is.
You think the shake weight is the flashlight of the fitness industry? I think we could do better than that.
I think we should go to intention with all of these, though. Like the Bosu ball.
Right.
We see the Bosu ball used incorrectly,
Right.
but if we think of the intention that dude had, whoever made it, I don't know his name. Somebody tell us what his name is.
Frank Bosu.
Frank Bosu.
Gonna be in the DM.
Bosu with the Mosu. It's like, I think he had a good idea. Like, he understood what he was doing.
Right.
He was creating an unstable surface,
Yeah.
preferably to do unilateral things on. I don't see the intention being poor.
Right.
I see the dude at the gym standing on the Bosu ball doing push-pull cable RDL. That guy's a dickhead.
Right.
Fuck him. He ruined the Bosu for all of us. But like, some of these intentions, I think, are just inventions are misappropriated.
Well, their intention is clear. It's to make money.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I see a sandbag thing filled with water, it's like, what the fuck is the point of this? At some point, you're just gonna have a mess on your hands. That's literally what I see. It's like,
Same intention as the flashlight. At some point, you're gonna have a mess on your hands.
Nailed it.
man, the creative nepotism runs deep in that family. Look at you. We founded 2 companies based on the same principle. How do we make a mess?
His great grandfather invented the hand towel.
Just passing it down from generation to generation. I'm trying to think. Oh, what are the one? Mobility sticks.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen? We've been using like the
man.
orange things.
What is that? Isn't
What
that
is
just
that?
a dowel?
No different than any other stick.
Yeah, you can go and grab one off a tree. There's sticks all over. Mobility sticks are literally lining the Alameda.
But you
They-
know that it's for mobility because it says mobility on it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's got those sick golf grips on the
And
end.
it's bright orange. Where do you go with that?
Up your ass. And that way you can find it when you're done.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to like slingshot. That wasn't an invention. Like that was just like theft. It was in the same way. What was it that Edison was like said to have stolen? Was it the light bulb? To stole from Tesla?
Is that what he stole?
I don't know. I know it was something that Edison, like Tesla, was working on that Edison stole.
Well, I have a cool Edison story.
Bring
So,
it.
It won't be long. He invented like this like film camera at the dawn of cinema in the West. So he invented a style of camera. Another company was inventing a style of camera at the same time. But Edison was such a gangster, he would hire extras on movie sets to literally bring loaded weapons. And if they wheeled another camera on set, the dudes would lock the set down and shoot it up.
You're fucking
No,
kidding.
he hired marksmen to sit like outside movie sets in Cali. And if they saw any camera that didn't say Edison on the side, they shoot the shit out of it.
Jeez, that's
Because he was a
unreal.
gangster, bro. He had the first monopoly on cinema.
Oh my god.
You serious?
dude.
Yeah, it's a true story. I watched a documentary on it. He hired marksmen to sit outside movie sets, and when they wheeled a different camera on the set, they just blow it to shit.
Dang,
Man,
man.
where do you go to like? Where's that job description? Like, is that just like in the like?
I think you have had to made like a series of bad decisions to get in the realm of
Yeah,
consideration
like how do you become
for
the
that.
Chris Kyle of of film cameras? You know what I mean? Like, how many confirmed cameras do you have on your rap sheet?
I mean, a victimless crime, really.
Shooting the 8mm with the 9mm, a little bit overkill.
I don't know, man. Those things are fucking expensive. Kill the people that make them. I can't imagine like how much that. Now, is there indicated like how many of these things that they shot?
I don't know how many they were, but it was a constant threat.
Just like show up to work today and just phew.
Yeah,
Someone had to have died in like the crossfire.
How do you
though.
combat that strategy?
I
Like,
don't know.
you either just quit or you get bombs.
You just like yeah, I guess.
You get a bigger weapon.
Yeah, we got rid of the gun problem, but there's all these fucking grenades are flying over the walls. Yeah, that's wild. I'm trying to think fitness industry stuff that's like really just missed. TRX, I think they kind of.
I think that misses the boat entirely, right? Like they don't get the point.
Yeah, I mean, I think once you get the military on, and that's the thing. Like military are good at a few things, and it's not training. Not in this country, anyways.
No, dude.
Like if you meet someone who's like Israeli special forces, it's like, yeah, they got it sorted. Yeah, 100%. But it's like, you know, the Marines, it's like, what do you try and do? Kill our soldiers before we send them off to almost get killed. It's like, okay, that's not really a good strategy from a strength and conditioning standpoint.
But even like Chris Kyle was quoted as saying like Navy SEALs aren't like what you think they are. Like they're not these muscled up dudes that the movies make them out to be. They're a bunch of guys who are really good swimming in the bay,
Yeah.
right? Like they just
Well-
swim in the San Diego beach.
That's like, yeah, because that's Buds, right? Like
Yeah.
Buds camp is, I've heard there's like a square you have to swim, and
Yeah.
someone thought like, oh, hypotenuse, really simple science. Like, no, you don't swim across this one area because seals will try and pin you to the bottom of the ocean and fuck you.
Wow.
I heard that's a thing. Like literally,
I know manatees will do that.
was it a manatee?
Yeah, manatees are highly intelligent. There's a dude who was on Rogan's podcast. He talked about it, how he was like studying these manatees. I think it's in the South Pacific. And there's a female manatee that he'd work with a lot. And he brought a female researcher down. And the manatee tried to drown her. Like the manatee could tell she was female and she felt threatened. So the girl went in the water and the manatee held her down at the bottom and tried to drown her.
That's some serious female shit. That's like the Gone Girl of manatees.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
that's really.
If a
fucked.
manatee slides in your DMs, dude, just deactivate.
I'm trying to think what that handle would be. I see some bad ones. We talked about the single mom face tattoo. That was literally someone who followed me. You know, like you peruse, right? Like you wake up in the morning and you got whatever notification, so you just flip through, and like that one caught my attention. I was like, because people always ask me like, oh, how'd you end up on like the muscle dock as a thing and like some sort of weird inception story? It's like where you have the upper hand. Well, functional chiro, that's one. But like Red, White, and Jordan is an amazing story. You know, it's
as American as it gets.
yeah, it's. What was your first? Oh man, I remember going through this.
Show me your tits.
Hashtag show me your tits.
It's literally
was the first. So his first post.
It's literally a picture of me sitting just like this with a red, white, and blue Budweiser in my hand in front of a campfire. Snap the picture. Fuck, I'm on Instagram. Hashtag show me your tits.
That's great.
It's pretty much been true to the brand from the guts to the skin ever since.
Power move.
Was there a gun in that picture?
No.
There's been
It was in my waistband.
Was it actually? So he was cheddar ball. He was cheddar ball.
Cheddar ball. Man.
Anyways, I'm trying to think what else we've come across recently. Some people messaged me this. Oh, are the jaws are size? Have you seen that? I met this guy.
No.
Oh my god, dude! I was at Olympia last year, and I'm walking through like the lower level booths. Like, there's like Bang energy drinks that spend like 100 G's on their booth, and it's like it's a rave. It's a Tiesto concert, and everyone's just on blow. Like no one's taking energy drinks. We're like, fuck it, we're just gonna have the real thing. And then there's like these lower tier booths, which is just like it's like this like a garage style setup, and this guy is like way too excited to be there. Like stops me. He's like, "Hey man, like, have you ever heard of the Jawser size?" I'm like, "You have my undivided
He stops
attention."
you.
Stops me.
The biggest motherfucker.
I know, dude. Well, that's at the Olympia. I'm nowhere near the biggest motherfucker, but it's just like he stops me, and I was like, "Oh, you have my attention." And my curiosity, like, scared him a bit. He's like, oh shit, like this guy's way too confident in his ability to shut my shit down. And I just sat there and kind of stared at him like, go on. Well, you see, and like he started talking about like muscles of mastication and like the buccinator and the lateral medial pterygoid and all this stuff. And I'm like, and like occipitofrontalis, where are we at with that? And he's just like, oh shit. And he was in too deep. And I was like, look, man, like just look at me in the eye right now and tell me your only motivation is to make money, and I'll pat you on the back and walk away. But if you honestly think you're serious, that you help people with this, you're full of shit. And he just kind of like looked at me and winked, and I was like, I have so much respect for this guy. At least own it, man. Whatever. You want to give me the ShamWow fucking sales speech on the floor? Sure, go for it. I don't give a shit. But like, don't honestly think that your shit doesn't stink. And he was just like, shot me a wink, and I was like, I fucking love this guy. Good for you, man. I hope you jazzercise your way to the top.
So how many did you buy?
None. But like, that's got to be a hell of a pickup line.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that guy's closed a few on that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my go-to, but the jazzercise, that's up there.
I didn't even know about that one. Like,
Really?
There's nothing that tops the jazzercise.
Yeah, because that's like YouTube channel sponsored ads kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's where you know it's real bad, because that YouTube sponsored ads are like the late night TV infomercial for bad fitness stuff.
Have you guys seen that thing? It's like a squat seat that you sit on. I don't know if it's actually real, but thinking of the YouTube sponsored ads, it's like the seat that you sit on and you literally just bounce it up and down.
Oh shit, Steffi was on that ad.
Like,
No.
Yeah, dude.
What's
They,
going
like,
on with
fucking
this
kidding
thing?
me.
They had like a Kardashian like fucking like real jump cut to like a bunch of people doing squats. Yeah, no, I think they sent him like a cease and desist on that.
oh
I remember
my God,
seeing that.
dude.
She sent that to me. It's like a 20-minute clip, and it's just a bunch of people squatting. It's like a pogo stick with like a spring and like a seat on it. So it's like, yeah, it's like squatting in briefs without squatting in briefs, or just being an idiot. But it's like, yeah, they used Steffi in that ad. Like, obviously Steffi wasn't down to be included in that. But
You mean that's not one of her business ventures?
yeah, no, that's how she got a world record squat. That was the secret.
Yeah,
She didn't want
the pogo
anyone to
stick.
know. Yeah, pogo stick. Nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
When you see that kind of stuff, you're like, okay, I've given up hope. It's almost like, how low can we go? It's like, all right, what do you got? I want to go. I gotta go to expos now just to see where like where's rock bottom this year at the Arnold's or this year at the Olympia.
It's funny, like we're like roasting like the most obvious shitty things, but it's like sometimes when I was talking to somebody the other day, like they were all pissed off, like someone was doing like some stupid fit chick workout, like a band around their knees on the Stairmaster and kicking back, and they were like, "Look at this idiot! Like this exercise is so dumb." And I was like, I don't know. Like, what's her goal? Is her goal to have a big ass? It's like, where is she going to go for information on having a big ass? Probably to the girl who has a video with a big
I'll
ass.
tell you where she's not going. Brett Contreras.
Yeah.
Dude, he's done for it. We
Uh-oh.
might pull that episode.
Uh-oh.
I might pull that episode from the archive. That's Bad News Bears, man.
That was the most dark segue from
Dude,
my
yeah, you
lighthearted thing.
gotta go there, man. Like, I was just thinking about that the last couple of days. Like, that's like that was where people would go for
Yeah.
that kind of information. And now apparently on information on how to get pushed down stairwells.
What?
Is
I
that
don't
what
know. I
happened?
don't know. And
Oh,
I don't
dude,
want
you
to talk
can't-
on it. Sure, I can.
Did you
Fuck
just
it. It's
throw
the
a
internet.
grenade,
Yeah,
like,
fuck
into
it. I don't give a
onto
shit.
the ottoman here?
Dude, it's like where there's smoke, there's fire, man. And when it comes to like that manners of that level, it's like, you know, there's context and there's three sides to every story, but it's like the second someone is implicated around like physical abuse around women, it's like, to me, you're on the firing squad.
I'm
Like,
not condoning it. 100%. You fuck with chicks, you're done for.
Yeah.
Dude, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're not going to be the one to pillory him. I'm just
No.
saying, like, there goes a resource.
I don't
for
know.
that
He's a
shit.
grown man who does frog pumps in hotel rooms.
Yeah.
I already had a bad feeling.
I mean, the chest hair did make me a little bit uncomfortable, but I don't know. He didn't lay a hand on us, so. But dude, that's a
But
weird.
it's like the Dirty Harry quote, right? Like when Dirty Harry says, if there's a naked man running down the street with a butcher knife, he's probably not collecting for Salvation Army. It's like, dude, there's so much writing on the wall that I don't trust that tan, greasy dude. Like, the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, to your original point, before I really derailed it.
Yeah, no, it's like people like look at people doing things somewhat dumb, or we look at really dumb fitness inventions and we're like, oh, this person's an idiot. Like, that obviously doesn't work. But it's like, if their intention was to just grow their ass, like, you have to look at what resources they're going to go to. I find it more egregious if someone's trying to get strong or good at a sport and they do something dumb versus the person who just wants a big ass. Do whatever. Like, that's sensational. Fat ass is so sensational. I
Yeah.
love it. So do sensational things. I'm not mad. But like strength isn't a novelty.
Right. So you're saying if the dumb ends justify the dumb means, then who gives a shit?
100%.
Yeah, I agree to that too.
Like, I'm more mad when like a person with a 65-pound bench has a red band wrapped around the bar and they're trying to forcibly garrote themselves. That makes me more upset because like you had every resource to learn how to bench and you fucked it.
No, I agree. And like as you kind of move through this, like I used to get upset about a lot of stuff. Not that I don't, but
I was going to say used to.
I think
Dude,
I get
we're
upset
on the road together.
I think I get upset last year. I get way worse than when like me and this dude first met. Like because you just realize at a certain point, it's like, look, man, like what you eat doesn't make me shit. Like I don't give a fuck. Like you want to do dumb shit? That's fine. I'll be over here doing less dumb stuff. And there's probably a smarter person next to me looking at me going like, how dumb is this guy? Thought people thought you were smart. It's like, yeah, sweet. Yeah, I don't know. I get your point, but definitely the dumb ends justifying dumb means. It's like, what's that quote about like in abnormal circumstances, a normal reaction is abnormal? What's that quote? Oh man, you're like the Daco king, man. I thought for sure you would have saw that.
Dude, I have no idea what we're talking
No, in like,
but that makes sense though.
Yeah, in abnormal circumstances, an abnormal reaction is normal.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, fuck, do you know? So I think in that case, it's like, all right, well, in a situation where people don't know any better, it's like,
yeah, like I feel like the flesh weight it's like more legitimate than like bands and chains on the bar.
but what?
Like them putting bands and chains on the bar. Like when I see those two things, I get less mad at the flashlight, more mad at bands and chains.
The flashlight.
Yeah, the flashlight's cool.
The flashlight is cool. I don't know. I have a problem.
I meant shake weight, by the way.
I think I was going to say, that was a hell of a Freudian slip. I was like, man, we're kind of comparing apples.
I definitely never get mad at the flashlight.
Sorry, it wasn't even apples to orange. It was apples to fucking your hand. Like there was no apt comparison to be made. I just think when when the intention of money supersedes the potential benefit of helping people, that's where I get upset. Because me and, all three of us have foregone an ability to be a piece of shit. Like we could have opened up rack and crack insurance base, and they taught us how. Like they gave us that. Like they dig you into debt, and they say, "Here's your way out. Here you go. Here's your way out. Here's a guy who drove his Lexus here, who used to practice back in like the 1970s, where insurance was paying out like 10-1, like it was a fucking roulette wheel." And you're just like sitting there going, okay, I can't get a bill reimbursed to save my fucking life. But this guy's rocking Tom Ford. It's like, how the fuck is this going to work? Like, oh, it's easy. You just get a biller and you get a front desk staff who knows how to work the insurance company. And you get in network with this company, this company, this company. And then you do PI cases. And if you hear the word med pay, try not to nut. And then collect $5,000 on each person in the car. They teach you that. They don't teach you how to do like, hey, here's how you're poor for 5 years, but actually make a difference, right? So when I see people who take like, and people in our own profession who do it, like I've run into kids, they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm doing like PI cases and stuff. It's like, you're a piece of shit. Go chase an ambulance. Like, go fuck yourself.
I think it's very much the same. Like obviously, I'm not a doctor.
Neither are we.
I just play one on the internet. I don't. I deleted that account. But no, like even like with coaching people or training, man, like I see similar stuff, right? Like people charge like 160 bills a month. And like I've seen the programs. They're just RPE. And like that's not coaching. Like coaching isn't here's 3 exercises, do an RPE 7, call me next week. Like I coach people, like I literally watch videos every day. I spend like 2 hours a day watching people's videos. It's not once a week.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's
text
not
me
glorious
at,
building
text
a
me at,
virtuous business.
No, I'm like, text me at any time. I'll watch it. Like you training at 3 a.m. in whatever country you're in, send me the video, man. I'll wake up at 6 and watch it and respond back. And I change programs every week. Like I think the same thing. Like I could make a lot more money just sending a template to people, charging 160 bills, but I don't do that.
But this is the thing we ran into too. Like, and we still go back and forth about when I left, I just said, fuck it. My last 6 months before I left California, it's like, I can't do this anymore. So I'm going to charge a lot. And if people value it to the level that I valued up to this point, then sweet. And like life was way easier. It's like at that point, do you ever consider, okay, if $160 is the industry standard for shit and I'm not shit, is it a hard thing for you to just be like, all right, well, I'm going to charge $200?
No, I don't think so. It's like, I think I just like give my all. And like, I never think of like, I think I thought less of what I charged before. And I think a little bit more of it now, just knowing what else is out there. But it's like at the end of the day, like if someone's going to send me $200, like I'm going to spend like every minute with intention, like helping that person versus like, okay, cool, like automatic e-transfer. And it's like, that's the thing. Like I don't even do auto deposit because like there's an intention to me accepting their money that I want to experience. It's like a weird behavior thing. Like every first of the month, I want to sit there and like type the secret question in, man. Like I want to know that I took this person's money. Like I want to interact to a point like where I've accepted the money versus just like automatically some money appears in my account.
Did you ever feel weird? Like, I mean, I still get like this with money because like we were raised in the same place, and like Dallas seems real similar. Like people with money, what was the perception of people with money or where you're from?
Where you're from, it's like almost like an elite level, right? They're just I don't know. It's just different, right?
Yeah.
There's us and them.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Like I can't conceptualize being Chinese because that's such a foreign culture to me. Like I don't know about eating chicken feet and speaking Mandarin as much as I don't know about having money in my bank account and going skiing. Like I don't know what that feels like. So it's a different human race to me.
Well, I remember, we were sitting in the airport in, where was it? In Calgary?
Yeah.
In Calgary, and like, I don't know, I fly a lot, so I have access to lounges because I'm constantly in airports. And like, we went in the lounge, and like, there's this dude that's like rattling off businessy stuff.
Yeah.
And we roll up like the fucking Breakfast Club, and like just these 4 degenerate like weightlifters.
I'm still wearing the same clothes, by the way.
You are, yeah. It's just become your uniform. But like, everyone who's in like lounges is usually like business class, and they're conducting business in the business world, not like in the fitness world. And some guy was like on the phone, just like rattling off a bunch of like, well, next quarter's, and then the prospectus is an IPO. And he looks at me, he's like, what'd you say? Something like I said I could never be rich. I can't be rich because I can't talk like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I get like, because we grow up in the same fucking place, but it's like, it almost seemed like having money was being like, you're a bad person. Like
100%.
everyone was Montgomery Burns. Like there's a dude, what's his name? Barry Zuckelman, who's like this dude who owns a steel company, and he like lives in the outskirts of Windsor, and the guy's worth like billions of dollars. Like garage full of Ferraris, like PJ. He's got a boat that when he wants to move it outside of the water, he needs to call the local police department because it takes up like 3 lanes of a highway. So he needs to get escorted when he moves his boat. And you're like, then you're stuck in traffic as like a pleb on the side of the hill, like a fucking peasant. Like, why is there a traffic jam? It's like, oh, the rich guy needs to move his boat. It's like, fuck this rich guy. Let's all get pitchforks and like wind up on his fucking doorstep. But it's like, and that's a weird thing when you find, even when it's something like, the dumb coach charges 160. I want to charge more. The stupid Cairo charges like 200 for an initial. You like, fuck, am I crossing over that line? Like I remember when I started charging more in practice, or like when I started charging like more online, I felt like all of a sudden I was like moving my boat on the highway. I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a boat, and I'm like really not making any money at all. But then like on the flip side, it's like there's such an obligation when you charge that to provide that kind of value.
Exactly.
And that's the thing where like when people have already had it, like kind of your thing with you can live in bucket, like you can live in a bucket in Rome kind of thing. Yeah. It's like once you've already had it, it's easy to charge more. Like it's easy to conceptual where it's like when you come from a place, you're like, I don't know. Like I remember like having to choose between getting gas to go to the grocery store or walking in 2 trips so I could get the gas equivalent's worth of food. Yeah. And this was not too long ago.
That's so true. Coming up with like no fucking money in my bank account, like every dollar I've had, I've made. And then one of the things that like fucks with my mind still to this day is every single month, on the first of the month, I have to write a $2,100 check to live in this fucking, in someone's backyard in the Silicon Valley.
U.S. dollars.
Not a mortgage. I'm just paying for rent. And having to never do that, never pay anything, just goodbye. Here's for 30 days. I'll take it. Like blows my mind. And it's shit like that keeps me like super humble about financials. That I'll never be that person that's just like blowing money on, unless I have like $1 million in the bank account, I'm not going to be buying like Beamers and Ferraris and like all this shit.
Yeah. Like we talked about this. Like I look at the unit price of the cheap eggs when I go grocery shopping. Like I go and like I sit in the egg aisle for hours and I'm like, man, what's the unit price of 18? What's the unit price of 12? Like what's the cheapest per egg price to buy eggs? And I will never not do that.
And like I've been in grocery stores with people who wonder what I'm doing because I'm reading it in my head.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing? Like, I'm looking at the per unit price. And it's like, they didn't even know that was a thing.
Little number.
I'm
at the
like,
bottom
how
corner,
do-
exactly.
Like, how
See,
do you?
we all know.
Yeah, but like, how did you
Yeah.
go grocery shopping as a kid if you didn't know that?
Yeah.
Like, how did you go grocery shopping in college how did you not know that? It's like, oh, you
Dude.
didn't have to worry about that? Are you serious?
That easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom, like we used to walk to the grocery store, me and my mom, and it was like a good like 15, 20-minute walk to the grocery store and walk back. And it's like, I remember like she'd send me down an aisle and she's like, all right, we need Cheerios. Go find the cheapest per price for Cheerios. And that was my job.
Yeah, fucking right. Dude, I
Like,
remember.
just like, that's just so normal to me.
Yeah.
Like, what, you don't check that? Like,
Yeah, when I went to college, when I moved to Toronto, my parents like were like moving me in, and like I used to like drink a lot of Gatorade, like pre-workout, a bunch of sugar in a workout. So I had to like, do you want us to drive you to the grocery store? Like we're here, you're not gonna have a car, and I was like, exactly, I'm not gonna have a car, so no. Why do I want to sit up in first class when I'm gonna have to go back over the wing when you guys leave?
Yeah.
It's like, you serious? Like, yeah, I'm serious. Like, my parents were there. So I walked to the grocery store and I had 24 Gatorades on one shoulder and a duffel bag full of the cheapest per unit meat I could find over the other shoulder. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's totally normal. And it's like, yeah, I fucking grew up in Windsor. Like, that's what you had to do. If you didn't do that, like, you didn't eat or drink Gatorade. Hindsight, should have bought the powder.
Definitely should.
Also grew up in Windsor. Wasn't smart enough to think, grab the powder. Saves me a lot of trouble. But
Do you think that makes it harder to put an accurate value on services when you have that very realistic grasp of what things are worth, or what things are worth to you, at least in a world that's may not have that same outlook on it?
I don't know. Living here has helped. The frustration that comes with living in the Silicon Valley and seeing people with lesser intentions make more money. Like you got to a tipping point where it's just like, you know what, fuck it. They're better off in my hands. Like that money, like, it's weird to say, like their money's better spent with me because I'm not going to turn around and like buy a fucking Rari with it. I'm going to put it against my student loan or whatever it is. Right. It was it was something I fought against for a really long time. And like, you know, we were like the cheapest people to go see. It was like, you go see a chiropractor, it's like you're better off. It's like going to a barber college. Like you're better off going down. It's like I was at competitive rates with the school that I graduated from. And it's like, fuck this. And it was just like one day I was like, fuck it. I think I text you like I'm up my rates. Because like you're the only person that does what I do, and I'm the only person that does really what you do when it comes to like having a gym facility and like thinking the way we think. So I was like, hey, I'm going to give you a heads up because I'm upping my rates like crazy. And the second I did that, man, 80-20 rule. You know, I upped my rates and I got rid of fucking 80% of my problem patients. I had 20% more time to like do whatever the fuck I wanted, and I made more money. I was like, all right, sweet. That was cool. But then it's like responsibilities on you. It's like you're just charging more. You need to provide more. Right. And that's when we started Prescript. It was like, all right, well, I have patients now that I'm charging a lot of money for. I want to give them more than that, you know, that stick figure handout of like, here's how you do a pigeon stretch for your glutes or whatever. Yeah, so I think that's how, in a lot of ways now, like that's how I push the envelope. It's like, okay, if I'm going to charge more, like, dude, my first seminar I did 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years in March. So when I'm out to the Arnold's in a few weeks in Australia, I'm doing a thing with Eddie Hall, Ed Cohn, and Andrew Locke. When I go, that'll be 3 years. I charge $75, I think, maybe even less, $50 for a 3-hour seminar. It's like our level 1 course in person is $1,500 US. It's a 2-day course. 3 years ago, people were like paying me with like their bus fare. And I'd like do a room full of like powerlifters. Like, all right, well, I need to show a difference. If that's 17 times more expensive, I need to provide 17 times more value, if not more. Like, I need to provide 30 times more value. So I think it's a good way to challenge yourself against like the status quo. Because I think some people look at like a market and they go, okay, this is the going rate. I'm going to charge X. It's like, okay, you're going to be mediocre. Like you're allowing yourself to have slip ups. You're not putting yourself in an upper echelon.
Yeah. And like, I think to the same effect, like it's hard to charge people more money. But again, like you're saying, it's like when you do, it's like if the number becomes so far outside things that are mediocre or things that are attainable, it's like you understand like to the degree that you have to offer something. Like if I charge whatever I charge and it's like, oh, that's equivalent to like whatever, like 2 movie tickets, that's equivalent to like a pair of shoes. Okay, like pair of shoes can suck. It's not a big deal. You forget about it next paycheck. But if it's that big of an investment, number one, that person is going to be more invested. And number two, like, you understand, like, there's some shit on the line here. Like, I stopped at the job where I train people in person. I stopped telling them the bi-weekly cost of the training. I just tell them the full price of the entirety that they train. And I only train people for like a year or more, just because that number had more weight. And that number was more encompassing of the experience. Like, I don't train you 2 hours, 3 hours a week. It's like, no, man, like, training costs 10 G's. And like, you're paying 10 G's for that result that you asked for. You're not paying to come in twice a week and hang out. Like, you want to squat 500 pounds, it's going to cost $10,000. But it's like that, just like that puts that weight on that result. Like, it's like, dude, this is an all encompassing experience that costs a certain amount. It's not a weekly hangout.
Yeah, and that's the exclusion criteria too. Like,
Yeah.
I want to work with people who will see like a positive ROI somehow on that investment. Like, I sent out a monthly bill this morning for a new client. It's like, the dude plays in the NFL. It's like, if I can extend his career, like, he's up for restricted free agency after the season. Like, if I can get him, like, you know, between the uprights a few more times this season, he's gonna make, what do you pay? Like, in the realm of online training, yeah, it's really expensive, but at the same time, it's like, what's on the line, right? Like, this is a Fabergé egg you're dealing with here, and it's like, I'm telling you based off this price that I can make you a better player. When that restricted free agency comes and the big boy paycheck comes down the pipe, it's like, you're gonna forget about that whatever a month, because you're going to be making fucking however many schmil a year. And it's like, if it's worth it to you and you can see that in long term, then yeah, that's someone I want to work with, right? But then at the flip side, and this is what really, when someone explained it to me when I first upped my rates. She's actually Sarah. She's a lifter out of CSA. She's one of Jesse's powerlifters, and she's like the first woman to ever deadlift over 600 pounds. She's a monster. She's a clinical neuropsychologist, so like crazy smart, but deals in a clinical setting as I do. And she said after my initial that she wouldn't come back unless I tripled my rates. And I was like, because she first started off like, oh, I'm not going to come back, and I was like, oh fuck, like I've never had a patient say that. She's like, yeah, I'm not coming back until you triple your rates, because like she's been to other people, didn't provide enough value, and she's like, look, you'll get more buy-in, but you'll also have more time to help people who can't afford it. And that's what she does. It's like, you know, she charges however many hundreds of dollars for her service to someone who can afford it and values it. So then with her free time and is surplus of cash, she can afford to, on the back end, go to like East Palo Alto and help out a family who could never afford it. Now, granted, she's making serious change in the world, and we're, you know, hopefully getting a kicker in the league, a few more, you know, field goals or whatever. But like, there's still a kid in a DM somewhere who'd appreciate, like, oh no, man, like, your knee hurts, try this, and this. It's like, if I got to be worried about like scraping the bottom of the barrel or looking through the fucking couch for change to find rent money or wherever to pay my next Airbnb, it's like I can't help that kid out anymore, right? Like, I'm not being philanthropic. It's just like, you know, those who can will, and those who can't, you should still be able to help out. And it's like, it's the people who put themselves competitively in a pricing bracket that don't really end up helping anyone. It's like they go right down the level of what their service is allowing them to provide, or what kind of service they're allowed to provide, and they're not making anyone any better, and they're not reaching anyone who they could bring up into their level. They're just like right down the center of the pipe. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I had like a similar, it's like a completely different conversation, but like the same overall theme yesterday. I was talking about like the book Into the Wild and how I thought like I could definitely just go be alone, because you're never truly alone. Like, any social interaction you have like has a value to it. Just like anytime you help someone has a value to it. So if you're so competitive that you're helping so many people, the overall value of that social interaction goes down, because you know you're going to have another one. It's like, you fuck up with the guy at 9 a.m. It's like, oh, well, I trained the guy at 3 p.m. I'm going to make sure that I'm on for that dude. It's like, no, man, if you only have 2 chances in that day to interact with somebody, you're going to make the best out of all of it. And you're going to understand, say, more nuance with it. So same thing. It's like, if you charge more and you only help 5 people instead of 12, every time that person comes in, you're going to have a more nuanced conversation with them. You're going to be more in depth. You're going to feel less stressed about it, because you can survive, right? You've accounted for those needs, and then you can understand like the nuance to social interaction. And that's kind of that point of like, if you spend most time alone, smaller social interactions matter. Like, I got a coffee yesterday, and the girl who served me the coffee was like, hey, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm filming some stuff down the street. She was like, oh, have fun. And I was like, you too. she's not filming anything. But like I didn't even think about it because how many times do you buy a coffee in a day? So it's like that interaction is
you or normal people.
Yeah, well, like me. So it's like that interaction meant nothing. And like when you leave and you think about that, I'm like, man, I feel shit. I feel like a piece of shit. Like this person was being nice and I just totally shit on them. And it's like if you have 50 clients and that client's like, oh, my knee caved today. Like, what do you think? And you're like, I don't know, man. Be better next week. And then you're answering the next email. You're a piece of shit. Like that's an important question. Or someone, kid sliding in your DMs. Like, dude, maybe, I don't know, wrist position's the most important thing in his entire life. And it's like, if you can be more nuanced with those conversations because you can survive, then you can be a better human about it.
Yeah, I just don't think many people think it through to that level, which is bad on two accounts.
And that wasn't me being too deep. That was just like, I just noticed the small interaction. I was like, fuck, man, like, totally wouldn't think of this.
Yeah. I don't think people lack, like, self-awareness. I mean, that's, like, kind of a consciousness metacognition conversation. But, like, I think two things. Most people don't think about that from the point of charging more money and just not even thinking about it, or that's the very reason people who should charge more money don't, is because they can't get over that hurdle and they can't. So it's like the people who should be thinking about that aren't and charging more, and the people who should be charging more aren't thinking about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, money's a weird thing.
Yeah. Unit price for eggs, bro.
Yeah.